Hi, it's been 2 weeks since the end of the Isaiah 62 fast, and in this video we want to share with you all what the significance of this fast is and also what next for us as the global body of Gentile believers. We can see that this fast was a God-engineered thing, from when it was called to the people who came together to organize it, even to the response. Truly, we see the very fingerprint of the Lord all over it. And it's really because we have stepped into the very sovereign appointed time of the Lord. In fact, when fasts were called previously for Israel, there weren't as many people who responded, unlike the fast for this year. So we're really in the very Psalms 102 verse 13 time frame, where it says that God has that set time of favor to favor Zion, and truly this is that very appointed time. So this fast is three things. The first is that it's historic. The second is that it's strategic, and the third is that it's prophetic. It's historic in a very, very obvious sense. Really, it's unprecedented. There's never been so many intercessors praying for Israel non-stop for 21 days straight. It's estimated that over 5 million people actually participated in the whole duration of this fast. Not only that, this fast actually involved believers from over 120 nations across the world, and more than 10,000 prayer hubs actually signed up to be part of this fast. It was also not limited to certain church denominations, but really the Gentile believers across all denominations, many denominations, actually jumped on board for this 21 days to fast and pray for Israel. And of course, last but not least, on the very last day of the fast, May 28th, which was also the day of Pentecost and that global day of prayer for Israel, there were actually 100 million intercessors who came together to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, to pray for the very salvation of the Jewish people, and also for the gospel to go forth to them. So this fast was truly historic.
This 21-day fast is also strategic in that God has shifted the attention of His global Gentile body to His heart, His zeal, and His narrative for Israel. And back in 2021, when Louis Engel called for the Yeshua fast, he actually said this: "It is our expectation and prescient anticipation that this 40-day fast, meaning the fast in 2021, could be a tipping point for a new day of salvation for Israel and harvest in the earth." So God was shifting the focus, and He was setting in motion the very ripple effect of that shift for the Gentile body even to come into alignment with the intercession and prayer for Israel. So from this 21-day fast in May 2023, we see four things that God is doing and setting into motion as well. Firstly, we see that God has awakened His global Gentile church to His zeal for Israel. And this is in the context of Romans 11 verse 25, that we will not be ignorant of the mystery. Throughout these 21 days and beyond, God has been stirring up conversations, teachings, and messaging concerning His heart for Israel. And this is also to prepare the way for the generation that is to come. In Psalm 102, it also talks about that generation that will be unborn. And they're going to be born in a time where praying for Israel, talking about Israel, loving on Israel will be a norm for them. Secondly, we see that God is aligning the people of God to the Romans 11 verse 11 call of provoking Israel to jealousy. He's beginning to let us see that it goes beyond our own ministry, our own Gentile world, but His promises and even what He says in His word is unto provoking Israel to jealousy, so that she comes even into the fullness of her destiny in God. Thirdly, we also see the arising of the 100 million intercessors for Israel. This is Isaiah 62, where God says that He has set watchmen on the walls for Jerusalem. So God is stirring up greater intercession for her, and not just intercession, but intercession that is in alignment with His heart, from the place of understanding and from the place of carrying His zeal and burden for her. Fourthly, we also begin to see the anointing of messengers with the Isaiah 61 anointing to go forth to Israel to preach the gospel and to provoke them to jealousy. Again, this is that Luke 4:18 moment that we're in, and God is releasing His messengers and His people even back to where the gospel began. So we see these four things coming forth from the Isaiah 62 fast: an awakening, an aligning, an arising, and an anointing of God's messengers.
Finally, this fast is also prophetic. If you recall our previous video where we talked about the promises that were given 40 years ago regarding the end-time Gideon army, which is also the end-time prayer movement for Israel, we see that this fast was actually that down payment of this promise that was given 4 decades ago. And it's really exciting because more than just a down payment, it's a continuation of a very story that has not yet ended, but it's a story that the Lord will certainly add to. And some of us might be asking the question, okay, so what does this fast release? What are we going to see actually happening? We don't know the full details yet, but we can be confident that if the Lord has given this down payment 40 years later, surely He's going to add to this very story. And the exciting thing is that for us in this generation, we are going to be part of that very prophetic story that He's adding to, and we are going to be the very vessels through which He even brings all His promises even unto fulfillment. So truly this fast is also, at the end of the day, prophetic.
Yeah, so that leads us even to the next question of what next for us. We don't just want to do something as a project or just get into the excitement of the 21 days, but just as Anna has spoken about the sovereign appointed time that we're in. Firstly, we want to continue to grow in our heart for Israel, whether it's understanding the mystery of Israel or to cultivate that heart and that burden for her. We want to press in for the apostolic burden and zeal that so consumed the heart of Paul, because we want to find ourselves standing with Israel even until the very end, whether there's that increase of intensity or that crisis. We want to have what is real and deep even in our hearts, with that zeal burning for her. Because at the end of the day, we want our hearts to be kept burning for God and His purposes for Israel until the very end, no matter the cost. And if you would like to grow more in your understanding of Israel, you can visit our website where there will be more resources, teachings that will help you even in growing in understanding the mystery of Israel. Secondly, we want to encourage you to continue in the posture of fasting and praying. Of course, it's not going to be in that intensity of 21 days, but we want to continue pressing in. So do find like-minded people where you can come together to keep that posture of prayer and just carrying God's heart and agreeing with Him in the place of intercession. The reality is that things are going to become more intense, but God is also about to release His glory upon Israel, and He's inviting us as His Gentile believers to be part of this. So if you are local in Singapore, you can join us for our weekly prayer sessions every Thursday from 7:30 to 9:30. Come and join us to stand in the gap on behalf of Israel and for God's purposes. And thirdly, we also encourage you to seek God for what it means personally. How does God want you to partner with Him, position yourself? And no matter what age or life stage you are in, it is in this sovereign appointed time that God is releasing His dreams, His visions concerning Israel and what is our role. So really seek the Lord, because He's gonna give us that new, fresh revelation and a fresh vision concerning our destiny even in this generation.
Yeah, and truly we are living in very exciting and yet sobering times. And the fact that we see God's hand in this and shifting our very focus to Israel, we, even as young people, or even whatever age you are, we want to jump onto the very train of God's storyline, even in this hour. And so we exhort you to don't just, after this 21-day fast, just go back to our lives, business as usual. But we exhort everyone to really align to the Lord's heart, press in, seek out His very heart and zeal, especially for the nation of Israel. And at the end of the day, we want to be people who are, radical, fearless, wholehearted for God and even for His very kingdom, which includes the very purposes for Israel in our time. And that's really our very prayer, that we would be counted worthy, of His call for us in this generation. So God bless you and take care.